right, we're calling the Gladstone City Commission for December 19th to order with invocation and pledge of allegiance, first led by Commissioner Mantle.
Lord, thank you for bringing us together tonight as a community. Keep us mindful of the needs of the citizens we serve. Keep our minds open to your knowledge that to let us make the correct decisions and move us forward together as a community and a country. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Bostwick,
Here.
Commissioner Manila,
Here.
Commissioner Phelan,
Here.
Commissioner Thompson,
Here.
and Commissioner View.
Here.
All right, first up is public comment. All right, then we're on to the consent agenda for the regular meeting of November 28th, December 5th, the DDA of November 7th, board review minutes, and payment of bills.
Move that we support the consent agenda as presented.
I'll support.
Motion by Commissioner Phelan, support by Commissioner Thompson to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion?
I do have a question about the Fox Power, the work that we had Fox Power do. Is that something we could have done ourselves, or do we lack the? Was it the digger truck that we? Okay.
That was for the new OSF site, right?
That was my question also.
Yeah, that's the only thing I had.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So that was just the part that the city had a contract out for?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is unfinished business, IBEW Supervisors Union contract.
Is that to get Commissioner Dave and Commissioner Joe, you guys can get together and get a date, and I can line up Tom Hogan from the union and set up a date. Everybody can get together and
I think I'd like to set up a meeting with Joe, just between Joe and I, at least to go over some
Okay.
of these questions and concerns that the other commissioners have before we meet with them.
and as soon as you guys hash it out, if you want to get a hold of me, I can get a hold of the union, and if you pick some dates, and I'll throw them at them.
All right, yeah,
Okay.
we'll, Joe and I'll get together as soon as we get it figured out, we'll let you know.
Okay.
All right, next up is the manager search.
Yes, at the last meeting, you made a motion to get information from MML. I was not at that meeting, but I did read the minutes and watched the commission meeting. So from there, I tried to take what I could from that. I contacted Jessica Reed. She's who I was working with 6 months ago, a little over 6 months ago. She is no longer in that position with MML, so it took a little bit to get me to who was taking over. They were in transition. I'm actually in conversation with 3 individuals, but Mary Charles is going to be taking the lead on that. They were in transition, and then with the upcoming holidays, vacations in there. So what information I do have, they had started a proposal for us 6 months ago, so they were looking at that. When I talked with them, and I did share the information with, not all of it, but the specific parts for the 6 items that you guys seemed to like or wanted from what Lordstone was going to do, discuss and define the goals, roles, and expectations of the City Commission, discuss and define the boundaries and authority of the City Commission, discuss and define philosophical agreement regarding the direction and management of the city, discuss and define the goals, roles, and expectations of the city manager, discuss and define the boundaries and authority of the city manager, and discuss and define the job qualifications of the city manager. Upon talking to her with that, she said, okay, that's a bit of a different animal than going with the executive search part of it. So she's talking with their staff to tailor some sessions or a session on that to be able to do that for us. She obviously recommends, and I believe it was your guys' intent to do that first, and then go into the actual executive search process with them. I want to make sure that's what I'm clear or hearing from that commission meeting with the motion to get that information. I don't want them to do up a separate proposal for that and then the executive search if that's not what you wanted. You know, there's been some communication about, some other things, so I want to be clear. She wanted to take a step back and, like I said, get with her staff and whatever and come up with a good thing to be able to address those items for you so that you were comfortable with then moving into the next step, which would be an actual executive search.
That was the background of my motion, was to get the information from them. We had that information from Lordstone, and then compare that together so we had both sides of what's available out there. And I believe you had mentioned before they had two packages or two options.
Yes, and she sent that to me again, and we had talked.
But I guess I want a little more, to flesh that out a little
Right.
more and get a little more clarification on that. And so we could say, okay, because, there was a motion made to spend $10,000 with Lordstone, and we wanted to see what was available through
Sure.
the MML and how comparable it is and what dollar figure would be put on that.
And what Mary described to me was kind of this first and foremost piece would be kind of educational session facilitation, with getting you guys all same page, understanding, whatnot. So there would be that, and then there would be, the executive search in details with that, all in one proposal.
We already
kind of
got,
two separate.
we already got pricing on the executive search already.
That was with their brochure. We never went any farther to get a detailed, itemized proposal of what will they do. There's optional things.
Right,
You
there's-
have all you had before from MML is the less complex search is between 12,500 and 14,500. Now this would be the actual search in for the city manager, not
Right,
this
right.
educational piece.
And
A typical.
on that,
I'm sorry.
that's what I was looking for was, and you weren't here, so,
Mhm.
but what is involved? What service are they going to provide for that dollar?
Right.
Where are they going to publish? Are they going to help us formulate a questionnaire? Are they going to help us with, come in, see what our needs are, and then work on a actual job listing?
Right. What they do, just if I can cover the kind of the tiers again with it, and then of course they have additional services. We are members already paying dues to them as well for that. So some of that's why she wanted to look to that educational piece. Might not be the full cost or whatever, but she wants to break that separately because that's not part of necessarily with the search. Typically, they will prepare a proposal that is an offer of not to exceed pricing that can range anywhere from $17,000 to $20,000 depending on your membership status and travel costs. And for that $17,000 to $20,000, and these are just in generalities, this is where she would go into more detail with the proposal to say exactly what you're getting, but 4 personal visits with the search facilitator, department head and staff engagement during the profiling process, an extensive community profile and recruitment brochure, advanced marketing including customized online advertising, targeted emails, and the league's social media, direct recruitment of passive candidates, personal pre-screening of viable applicants and reference checks, development of customized interview questions and the candidate selection format and process that you would follow, assistance with the conditional offer of employment, background check, and contract negotiations. Now, those are some things that, either you could do or pick and choose what you wanted to do. For a very basic search, they would do 3 personal visits with the search facilitator, the community profile and recruitment brochure, limited marketing and advertising for our position, personal pre-screening of viable applicants and reference checks, the customized interview questions and format process, and a background check if you narrowed it down to one.
You said you got that out of a brochure?
This is their.
I was gonna try and write all this down, but you talk too fast. So I was wondering, can we get a copy of them?
Absolutely. I can make a copy of this. And it's the same, because when she sent it to me, I said, did that change? She's like, well, they may have, and of course, she wasn't the same one I was talking to before. This is just an overview. She stressed that that's what she wants to tailor.
But that would
to
give
our
us,
proposal.
okay, but that,
Exactly.
a lot of that we can pick and choose of what we want out of that.
Right. They do additional services, which were listed on here, community outreach meetings and public forums, recruitment video, social event or traditional setting candidate screening, background checks at the point of interview, so several different background checks along the way, and a media packet with press release, provided local media and other medias that they are in contact with. So again, that's where she was really trying. She kept asking me, well, do they want this? Do you want this? You know, and
Can they give you an a la carte pricing on that?
right, and that's what I asked
I
her.
guess
So we kind of separated the two, and that's why I wanted to make clear. I was pretty clear on with the executive search. Give me it all, and then if you can, if I don't want that, I'll know how much to reduce that and come back to her. And the final proposal contract would be something that you would sign with what you do or don't want. The other, what she said is the other item, kind of more educational facilitation, which might be included in this. That's what she had to check into, is if she could get an all-inclusive price or if it was going to be something separate. If you recall, we brought them down for the Elected Officials Academy and did that. And I told her, yeah, we've done that. So she said, okay, let me see what you've done and what you haven't, and what you guys were kind of talking about, with your authority and things like that. I mean, not just the law, but actually how to implement that or whatever. So she wanted me to get a little clearer instructions with that. And I thought that I was following with that, comparing the Lordstone piece to that for the educational piece.
One comment I want to relate to the commission and to the public and staff. Once we hone in the direction we want to go, and we feel it's important to lead us that way, you list all the items that you are interested in having done by the professional. And since I've been on this committee for 6 months, I've went to MML, Mackinac Island, and I brought it up. And what they told me, because I told them we were working with Lordstone and that, and local company, they requested, the guy I talked to was out of Houghton. Matter of fact, I think he was city manager of Houghton or something at one time, if I'm not mistaken. I got his card. What he told me is, once you hone in on everything, before you hire someone, put RFPs out. He said, get a hold of me. MML will want one. And he said, I'll tell you some other consulting firms that do this stuff. Lordstone would get one, and other ones. He said, get it out to the public. You'll get your best return that way. It's not that you just need to hone in on, we're going to hire them or we're going to hire Lordstone. You hone in on the actual, what you're looking at having done. If you got stuff that you're already sure of that you want, that's something that could be left out of there. If you want to, the local newspaper, news, stuff like that, even though it may not be that expensive, it may be for them to do it where we could do that in-house. But you put the RFPs out and you try to get the best deal for your request. So I just want
I'm
to
sure
make you
that
aware of
gentleman
that.
he's talking about is that guy that came down for the MML.
Scott McCann, yeah.
Oh, me and Jay met him at Mackinac Island, too.
And he's the Northern Field representative for MML now, and he would maybe be who they would send or whatnot. She really wanted, to think about the proposal that before with facilitating, as far as with the guidelines that you guys gave. Yes, to go back to the beginning of this process, you had tasked me to look into, to see what were the options, what has been done in the past, who we've used, not necessarily the whole process, but just what was available. I did that. We did this initial thing with MML, and then it was decided to go to the private to look in that, and that's when
That was offered to us. Yes.
Right, that committee, was spearheaded to look into the private with Lordstone, and now, back with MML. I did contact with Michigan Works, before. This wasn't something that they do, it's either, pretty much, either you do it in-house, MML, or go to a private organization if you could find them. So, at that time, I remember asking if you wanted a formal RFP, and that wasn't the direction that was given. So, if you want that, that's fine. It'll be just kind of a different request to MML. It won't be a phone call. It would be advertisement, things like that. So.
I think right now, let's get the proposal from the MML compared to what we have for Lordstone, and then we can decide if that's what we want to do, if we want to.
Plus, can I ask that the thing that I emailed Jay be given in our packet so we can take a look at that too in the public? I sent an email out of a procedure used by other cities. Would it be appropriate for me to request that each of the commissioners given a copy of that in our packets for next time?
Yeah, if
As
it's
long as,
something
yeah,
we-
it's gonna, I'm assuming it's gonna stay under unfinished business, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
just another
Right.
option. It's
Yep.
already honed in on a lot of
Yes,
things
no,
that we can look
that would
at.
be the place to put it on
Just
there.
for-
That was a little bit of clarity that I, having read that and looked at it, that looked like doing an internal, process or whatever, and, that can be shared with whoever you do, but that's why I wanted to be clear if we were going to an internal process.
But as far as this information he's talking about, we can put that on the next agenda under this as
As
old
part of
business,
this
just as
manager's-
information.
That's the stuff that came from Jim O'Toole, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Not everybody had that already. Did you send that to everybody?
Nope.
Okay.
She did apologize, obviously we're hitting them at a little transition time. She was really gonna try, she was trying to have something to me in more concrete, but when I threw her that other curveball, once we finally connected to her, because I had talked to 3 different people, with that, and she's gonna take the lead. She just didn't have enough time
I
to
guess-
get with staff with the time from the last meeting, so.
My
We will.
continuation of that request, I guess, would be to get an item pricing, like if we requested some help with ad placement or advertising or background checks,
Mhm.
what would that cost? If, once we honed it down to, say half a dozen applicants and then 2, what would that cost for us to run through that process with them? So, not necessarily the whole package pricing, but just a few items on there.
Sure. And that's what she said. It's kind of broken shears, and you do sort of a blended combination.
Mhm.
Maybe you want some of this, but we don't. We can
Yes.
handle that advertising or whatever. Kind of piece it together. She said that's why it makes it a little bit harder to just say, oh, it's going to cost
Well,
this.
the other thing I don't want to leave out of the realm either is if we're asking for something different, like the local company does do background checks and all that stuff, and we haven't asked them what that would cost. So whatever we're asking of the one, and we don't have a
Right.
pricing on
That's-
it, we should make sure we send the same information.
Yes.
To Lodestone.
Yes,
Right.
we'd like to.
We'd like to compare side by side.
Could we have our public safety do background checks too? Do we have that
Um,
ability?
I know the last time, not the internal, Darla was promoted internally, but previous to that, they did not. They did not want to do the background. They asked not to be involved, just so there could be
State
some
police.
separation of,
Mhm.
that's going to be the manager or whatnot of managing their department. So they did feel that, at the time, the commission thought that would just be a little bit of a conflict, and they went through an outside one. I think that was actually, we used MML for the background portion of it.
Okay.
And it was a very extensive, they came in binders and, everything you wanted to know about people, and maybe more so, but, and that, of course, necessarily isn't always, all of that is, public either. There is some privacy, very little, but, some privacy with the background. But, yeah, so, it's an option, you can direct them to do that, it was the director guy at the time, had some thought on reasons not to do that.
Mhm.
They did use an alternate, I believe it was
If you could continue to get that information and bring it to the next meeting,
Absolutely.
then we can discuss what we would like to maybe pursue along those lines, and then go back and ask Lordstone or another outfit to check that out.
Was the information, Commissioner View, that you wanted, was that all in that one email, or do you have new stuff? I know you said previously you were working on some more stuff. Do you have all your information you want
I think
shared, or-
I think the email I sent out would be suffice
Okay.
enough to see
some of the other procedure another city uses and some of their criteria and stuff and where they advertise. And I don't know if I put the prices in there, but I do have the prices of what it costs for a lot of the stuff that they're doing. You know, for the advertising, for putting the articles in, different journals and stuff like that. Why they left, I have a listing of articles they left out because the pricing was like $4,000 for a weekend edition or something, and they felt it wasn't relevant for their town to look in that area. And they were targeting east of Chicago, coming this way. Green Bay area was huge for them.
And by using that, that was using internal staffing that they had,
They-
the search
Yep, he said, don't reinvent the wheel. He says, here you are, have your commission take a look at it, give it in their packets. Let them look at what other cities have done and what's been successful for other towns. And they've had it in place for many years. He said, all you have to do is look at the results of how the cities have been after they've had their city managers.
Yep, in the initial report, yep, absolutely. A lot of places do it internally if they have the staff to do that. Yep, I'll get that information to you, Mary, and I'll be talking as well, so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is set public hearing for special assessment number 315 Dakota Avenue.
Yes, I'd like to set public hearing for January 9th for both public hearings. The first one is 315 for Dakota Avenue. Unfortunately, asphalt came in pretty much across the whole northern, across all the UP in northern Wisconsin. Asphalt came in higher than our engineer and we expected last year. So,
How much higher?
do you remember the dollar?
A lot?
We thought it was going to be less than what we estimated, just because of.
So it's higher than what we estimated?
Did we have a public hearing on this where we said
we
we were
did.
going to assess them? No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got to redo it again?
Well,
This
we gotta
is-
approve them.
You have the
Final
first
number.
set to give them an estimate, and the second set is to set the dollar amount.
Oh,
So
okay.
we were going to stay with the original estimate was $15.40 a foot, and we'd like to stay. We'll stay at that dollar amount. There was some talk about because the DDA paid $50,000 towards Dakota Avenue, that some people thought that should go, that should pay for the assessments, but the whole project for Dakota Avenue was $255,000 for those 2 blocks.
So the DDA will probably cover the additional of the paving then or something.
And DDA is paying 50, and if you take the sewer out, which was about 65,000, the roads will still be spending well over 100,000 on it.
What were they budgeted for though on the, we already had Dakota budgeted, right, or was this, wasn't Dakota already in the budget for streets?
Just one block though, right?
Oh, that's right, okay. So when all was said and done on Dakota, we were over budget.
Paving was higher part, and sewer was a little bit less. We haven't finished the final payment on, because we're negotiating with them because of their less than stellar storm sewer. We had a lot of problems with
Right,
the
we're trying to get
rainstorms,
some-
and they weren't protecting the rainstorms, and
Trying to get some money knocked off that bill.
yeah, plus the intersection on 9th Street has a little, as we used to call them, Ford's humps in it. You can feel it.
I was gonna say something about that, but I thought I'd just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Milling?
We're also gonna discuss liquidated damages on, they went way over the contract because they had too much work in other towns and they were trying to weigh which one they were gonna do on a certain days, and so, yeah, you're gone.
I make a move that we set a public hearing for January 9th, 2017 for the special assessment, number 315 for the Dakota Avenue project.
I'll support.
All right, motion by Commissioner Yu, support by Commissioner Thompson, to set a public hearing for special assessment number 315 Dakota Avenue. Any discussion?
Is that special hearing just for them to come in and say they want it or they don't like it? Or is it just to approve what we originally did before?
They will be getting, each of the people on that will be getting a notice and what their assessment will be, and they'll be,
And then they can come in
they can
and
come
make
to
a
the meeting
comment.
and talk about it.
And then we'd vote on it that night, correct?
Yes, with the
Okay.
terms and conditions, you know, the rate of.
So everybody will
payback.
know a couple of weeks ahead of time and.
Yeah.
Yep, there's also a general ad in the newspaper, obviously, for the other public, but they are notified by that.
Good.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now it's set a public hearing for special assessment number 316 Michigan Avenue.
Same thing?
Yep, same thing, same assessment per foot.
I'll move the same thing. I'll move that we have a public hearing on January 9th, 2017 for the special assessment of number 316, Michigan Avenue.
I'll support.
All right, motion by Commissioner Yu, support by Commissioner Thompson, to set public hearing for special assessment number 316 Michigan Avenue. Any discussion?
Still plan on sticking with the same assessment we gave them on that back in
Yes.
What was that? What was that?
1540.
1540 on Michigan also?
Yeah, we'll have a good breakdown on what all the costs were and what we paid and everything else for you at the next meeting.
All right, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is,
Can I interrupt a second? I think there's something tonight I have a conflict of interest in. I forgot to bring it up. I didn't see it on here. Demolition of 311 South 8th. I have three issues with it. Number one, I worked for the guy for a long period of time. I don't want to construe that I'm in favor of doing something or not doing something because of my working relationship with them. Number two, he's been a steady, consistent customer in a place of business. I run in Gladstone for over 10 years. And number three, the option being offered for the demolition that I read is something that I had a property that had to be demolished and felt that some of the opportunities wasn't offered to me over a period of time either. I just feel I could be slighted one way or the other by my interest in that, making that decision. So I would like to be left out of that decision of the commission at this time.
we would have to make a motion.
I move that we allow Steve to step back from this discussion on the demolition based on the fact that he doesn't think that he should be involved because of his conflict of interest.
I'll support.
All right, motion by Commissioner Thompson, support by Commissioner Phelan, to excuse Commissioner review of memorandum of agreement demolition 311 South 8th Street. Any discussion?
That motion reflects discussion and abstain from voting, correct?
Yes, I'll leave the room.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Sorry for
Motion
not
carried.
notifying you at the beginning. Kim.
Okay.
All right, first, now we'll go back to A Delta taxi service application.
Yes, we've received an application. Somebody who wants to have a taxi service in Gladstone. Yeah, all the background checks and the insurances and the permit has been signed. And just need commission approval. We included, we've been getting a lot of information on all the lame duck Congress stuff that's going on, and you can see that the Senate has passed a bill and the state taking over the taxi control from all the cities, but the House has not voted on it yet. So, but they probably will after the new year. Our license is only for 1 year. Expires on May. What happens after the 1 year? Do they?
It'll depend on how they do that amendment into
Oh,
the
the
law.
amendment is.
So right now, our local authority, as Eric said, is for 1 year is what we say it is. If they write that amendment, they will say any that are in existence prior to that law going into effect can exist for 4 years before they would have to comply with the state requirements and not the local ones. So it's a little bit up in the air with how that law is going to end up playing out with that amendment. So all we can do right now is what our local code says, which does say it would
Doesn't-
expire if May 1st.
It doesn't affect us financially in any way, other than the $20 fee.
No, I don't know what the fees will be at the state level or whatnot, so I'm
But
sure
that-
they'll be there.
That would be on them, but not on us.
Right. And us right now are, as you can see, the fee in our ordinance right now is $20.
So he pays a
for taxi.
$20 fee every year.
Do we have any culpability if he doesn't run it like a taxi service? You know, where people count on it, it becomes part of Gladstone, and all of a sudden.
Yes, he has to be certified. You know, there's still some taxi,
And he carries liability insurance,
Correct,
everything.
yeah.
I mean, none
I-
of this comes back on the city.
Yeah, I think
right.
that's right.
and-
No, I meant for the service itself, because I know the last.
Somehow there's always an agreement between the taxi in Gladstone and taxi in Escanaba. what you
No,
can
I meant
pick
for
'em up,
charging
take 'em.
too. Isn't
Oh.
there regulations on, do you have to have a meter, or do you charge, you know, I know there's a lot of rules and
That's what the
regulations.
state regs that he has
would
to
be the
comply
state.
with that. You know, but we don't enforce that. You know,
No.
it's not our guys going in there and saying, do you have this or not? So, not to say that there isn't some state regulations now. What they're saying is now they will take any of this. So, you know, if that law passes, when another taxi
mean, this
is
is a-
coming, this won't come before you.
Is this
It'll
a
all go through them.
24-hour service?
I don't have his hours of operation right
So
here with me.
our portion of this is just to say whether somebody can operate a taxi or not.
Exactly.
And that's-
Exactly.
and that's
All other
the-
oversight
and
would
that's
be
what
like
it's limited to
A
that.
county or state over, like a health department
Right.
or
If you
anything
look
like
at our
that.
ordinance,
DOT.
it's pretty
Right.
vague, you know, and obviously older.
We
You
want
look
a
at other
taxi
ones-
service here, we just say, yeah, let 'em
Yeah.
come in.
You look at other ones like in Escanaba's ordinance, theirs is very specific. They limit who can and how many and things like that. Ours is fairly
I know the
and
one,
stuff, so.
the one here wasn't allowed to go in Escanaba.
You could
based
go
on
there, you couldn't
Escanaba,
pick up
they
there.
couldn't- yes.
You could drop people off there, you just couldn't pick people up there.
Which
But that's the Escanaba city law. That's a law that they have on their taxis
Correct.
over there.
Because he asked me about that, if you guys would limit that he be the only one, and I said, well, you're the only applicant right now, but we don't, our ordinance doesn't read like that we can do those restrictions.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, I'd love to see a taxi cab operating our own Gladstone. It would alleviate some of the wait times that some of the people have for data buses and whatever. And
I just have one more
Business idea,
It's-
go for it.
question.
great.
Do you have any timetable on when he would be operating?
He wants right away. He was fighting at the bit about the insurance and getting it, you know, to this meeting before the end of the year and things like that. So he doesn't have an exact date. It all depends when the paperwork stars line up for him. But
And it is expensive to license a taxi, I can tell you that now.
Yeah, he's
It's like about
insured.
$3,000 a vehicle.
there you go.
yeah, and if you see in your packet had his certificate of liability insurance, those are the things that we have to have on file, you know, with that. But
he's-
as far
d-
as-
and
That's
didn't
required
s-
by law.
Didn't say he would have 2 taxis and 2, right?
No,
Right,
one.
because the fee's $10 per taxi, so they'll have 2 taxis.
There is
It did say two in there.
Yeah, right here.
I see you only listed one vehicle.
Yeah, right here. Taxi cabs, business name.
On the
number of
application,
taxi
he has
cabs.
2.
I'd like to make an emotion that we approve the application for Delta Taxi Cab and issue the license. I
I'd
think it'd be a
second
great
it.
service.
I'll support.
All right, motion by Commissioner Thompson, support by Commissioner View. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is the memorandum of agreement.
Excuse me.
Okay, Renee was gonna cover this, because she's been doing all the work on this, she was sick today, so she headed back home. What we've been working with is the current owner of the house, which is condemned. He doesn't have the means, cash to tear the building down, and so the neighbors who live in front of this is an odd lot. It's on the alley facing the side street, and the house that is actually on Dakota Avenue doesn't have a backyard, so we worked out a deal where they would pay half the demolition costs to tear it down, plus they would pay for all the transfer of deed, licensing or whatever else needs to be done, surveys or in regards to the property.
The city would pay the other half?
We'd pay the other half.
Or-
She budgets, she said in the past she budgets 15,000. I know she budgets some money every year for one of these, and we used to spend a lot more than that just in court costs trying to tear these buildings down, and this sort of worked out to be a win-win. We getting rid of the ugly house, and the people in front will have a backyard, and they're gonna,
So we do have a budget.
yeah.
Definitely needs to go, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in
Walk by
bad
there a
shape.
lot, and it's bad.
Yeah, I walked through the house with Don from the landfill and Art Dell, and it definitely needs to be torn down. So what we would have our attorney, we already have him working on an agreement, and they'd sign off. And
Isn't this the agreement here?
what's that?
Mhm. The agreement's in there?
So it has a clear title right now?
Yep.
She's got an agreement in
Yep, this is a
Yep.
preliminary agreement. Everything looks okay with the commission. Delve through some pictures then.
there. Yeah, I've seen all that.
When would this work take place?
I was just talking with Renee about that. It's getting difficult now
Yeah.
to do utilities, but the bidder said he could still take it down before the new year, so
Oh.
we might have the building taken down and then him finish up with the rest of it in the spring, the disconnection of the utilities.
Why do you tear it down and not disconnect the utilities?
We can shut the utilities off, plug the sewer off, and then the gas can be shut off, but the formal disconnection of the gas can be shut off. The disconnection is, they still, I talked to the gas company, and they still have time to disconnect it. They put it on their list as long as we're in agreement.
I think it needs to be done, looking at
Yeah.
everything here. It's, I'm gonna move that we go ahead and give the city clerk the right to sign the agreement to remove the property from 311 South 8th Street.
I'll support.
All right, motion by Commissioner Phelan, support by Commissioner Thompson for the demolition of 311 South 8th Street. I just had one question. Under the estimate from Burnett and Sons, They said lead and asbestos testing would have to be done before it has to be torn down too, right?
It's already been tested, that's what we went through with, go through with Don Pyle from the landfill. He goes through and it's, because it's not a commercial building, it's a residential building, he can just do a site assessment and looking at it and saying, okay, there's not asbestos shingles on the side and there's not asbestos ceiling tiles. And so he went through and he does that assessment himself. We don't have to have that done. If it was a commercial building, we'd have to hire an expert to come in and go through everything.
Okay, so it was all clear.
Yeah, and it's a forced air furnace, so there wasn't any asbestos in the hot water piping either, so pretty clean tear down.
Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Asbestos shingles on the side.
All right, next up is city manager's report.
Okay, that's it. As, we discussed in the open forum, I got contacted by the Police Officers Labor Council. They said they're ready to negotiate whenever we are. So I think that was a good idea to maybe have a plan to go into a session and discuss how we want to go about these union contracts that are coming up. There's
We
options.
want to, you want to try and set a meeting before our next commission meeting to discuss it, or?
It's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. It'd have to be after the,
After the
Yeah.
meeting?
after the
Yeah.
new year, though.
The next meeting's on the 9th.
Yep. We definitely need to take a look at it before it gets so busy that,
Is this one of the contracts that's up at the end of March?
yep.
Public safety, command officers, and the Teamsters are all up in March 31st. We've been working with the Teamsters. Mark can probably talk about this a little bit too, because they're down people, especially at DPW. We have down people, and we have two new guys that are not experienced at snow removal, and there's like 3 people that are available. One wanted to put an addendum on the contract so we could have a standby pay for somebody that has a set cell phone that he carries, and then 911 can call that number and it'll always be answered, because we've had problems. There's been times it's been hard to contact people. We have fewer people with cell phones now. And another thing that is really starting to come up too is there's, in the old days when I first started, everybody lived in the city, but now we have a lot of people that don't live in the city that work for the city, and it seems like the guy in that department that works in the city gets called out all the time, and we think that's great. He's making all the money, but he gets tiring getting called out 3 times a week in the middle of the night.
So is that something we can discuss at this meeting? Is that something you want to look at, or do you?
Can we set a meeting date on that?
On putting an addendum onto the contract until the other contract is up on call-out pay. The electric department currently gets call-out pay. You have somebody that has a phone. you want to discuss it at that first meeting, that's
Well-
fine, or
I guess I was unclear. Are you looking for an approval to do that right now, or?
I think it's pretty, we're having, we should, because with the snow coming and there,
So, right now, when you call a guy out, I'm assuming it's the one guy that lives in town, right? Okay. Does he get call out pay?
Well, how many employees you got? How many people plow? Well, how many total are able to plow? Okay.
Right. So you're only talking about putting them three main guys on a rotation for call out?
they'd have to get trained in as, for the snow plowing part of it, they'd have to be trained in before they could.
No, but I'm talking about your three main plow guys. You got Joe, you got Barry, and Adam. So are these the three guys you're talking about putting on like a rotation for call out, or is that what you want to do?
They would, yeah, they determine, some of the guys don't want to be on call out, period. I mean, they're been working long enough, it's actually in the contract, once you get to be, what was it, 55 or something, you don't have to be in.
I think it's time we start looking at a little labor pool. Like a lot of the other
Well, that's
guys.
nothing we can do right now. That's
No,
what
he's
we're-
talking about
Well,
taking action on something.
why
right
can't
They're
now.
looking, because of the union contract ain't open. We're looking to do something just to get these guys through the winter is what they're asking
Well,
for.
you're still changing the contract.
No, we'd be working within the contract.
So do we have a cost on what are we looking at for wage?
For a year, full year of having someone on call out, it's $8,000.
We wouldn't have them on call out for a full year, would we? In the DPW?
Yeah,
Just for plowing, you don't need it for a full year.
Do we ever get call outs in the summer for anything, or?
yeah, for,
Age 60, they have the option of being on call or not,
okay.
is what the contract says.
I remember reading that at one time, so.
Right, I understand it. I mean, it makes sense to do it. I'm just trying to wrap my head around what it's gonna cost us and, who's gonna be, if we're gonna do a rotation on the call out, or. So what happens if they get called out and they don't go?
They have to, they're on call, they're getting paid.
Right now, on a holiday, we're paying 2 hours at the holiday rate for responding to a call. So are we looking at, are you thinking like something like that for other than holidays?
So the guy on call gets an extra $225, but it's the same guy all week.
Plus time and a half, or they get whatever the pay dictates. And they'd also get this 2 hours of holiday, at the holiday, 2 hours of pay at the holiday rate,
If it's on a holiday.
if it's on a holiday.
So I get 5 times. I think we should ask if we could have a labor pool. Road commission does it, other cities do it.
That would be,
They work at half the rate. They just
would-
fill
that
in,
would
they
be
don't take
part
any
of-
job, any work away from anyone, no work.
Yeah, but that's something
Part
we
of
gotta
the
negotiate in a contract.
negotiations right now.
He's
we-
talking about getting people
Right
on
now, we're
rotation
shorthanded.
for call out, so it's
If
not
we
the same
wanted to
person
keep
every
a
time, right?
public works with only 5 people in it, it's, you know.
Been like that
you-
for a while.
Do we have to go with that rate of $225 a week? Or do they make the same wage between the electric department and the DPW? Well, then why would we give them the same amount?
this is something we really need to sit down at the table with,
Yeah.
Yeah, we got,
with the union and have this discussion, because, I mean, the contract is specific and we're gonna change it. We're gonna,
I'm gonna change it one way, but you're not willing to change it the other way.
well, any
Well, I think
change,
we're
any
working
change
within
that
the
we make to
contract.
this,
You're trying
we
to
need
work
to sit
within
down
the-
at the table and do it.
You need more staff.
well, if we're gonna set a
That's the
meeting
key.
before the next meeting, or can't we discuss all this? Let's set a meeting and we can talk about the police union negotiations.
Yep.
We can talk about what we wanna do here. I mean, we've been doing it the way we've been doing it. If we go another week, we will hopefully survive.
Well, why don't we just set a date then?
Right, I was thinking anytime
For the ninth.
anytime before the 9th, you know, Monday the 2nd, 3rd, 4th is out for me, 5th, 6th is good. Just that Wednesday's bad for me.
Yeah, Wednesday's bad for me too. I'll be working on 18 or 20 hour
Monday the second's a holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Okay,
why don't we
so-
just try and,
No 4th,
Tuesday,
no 2nd.
Tuesday the 3rd?
Tuesday the 3rd, okay?
For me.
We have to make a motion, right?
What time?
Let's see, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Does that work for everybody? Can you get here okay?
Steve,
Make it work somehow.
does that work?
Yeah, that'd be-
I don't know right now, I don't have my schedule.
I won't be available to take the minutes or anything,
What's that?
Just
I
set
won't
a
be
date,
available at
let's
5
try to be there.
I move that we set a date for a committee of the whole meeting for January 3rd at 5 o'clock. Discuss the union negotiations.
Support.
All right, motion by Commissioner Phelan, support by Commissioner Thompson for a committee of the whole to discuss a contract. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? say
This
aye.
is just to go talk about this
Which union negotiation?
call out pay, or is this to go over strategies
Yeah.
with all the other 3?
We might as well address all 3 of them and address the call out at the same time.
Yep.
To discuss.
Good
what
point.
we
Thought we were looking at executive session.
Can we go into it?
For strategy for the other 3 unions.
We can go into executive
Yeah.
session from that meeting, right?
Okay.
Can we go to an executive session from that meeting? 'Cause we have to vote on that. We have to vote to go into executive session. Can we do that at a committee of the whole meeting?
No, that, if you're making it a workshop, it is not a meeting where you can do that at.
We have to do that at a regular
have to
meeting.
schedule a
Unless
special
we
meeting.
do a special meeting, unless
Right,
we
if
call
this-
this a
if
special
you're
meeting.
doing this a workshop, you cannot. If you do a special meeting, you can.
Well, call it a special meeting.
We'll have a special meeting on, sorry.
Change your motion.
Change the motion.
Do you want to just read back the motion, what you think it is?
I was gonna ask it to be restated myself.
Okay.
I have a special meeting set for Tuesday, January 3rd, at 5 o'clock, to discuss all 3 union contracts and the call-out amendment for the Teamsters Union and DPW.
I support.
All right, do you have it now? Okay. Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Ski park opens on Friday, so get your skis out, and tubers, it's gonna be open, with really good snow. We made a bunch of snow, we received a bunch of snow. Looks beautiful up there. Project Candy Cane was last night. We heard nothing but good things about it today. Paul Maringer stopped by and said that they picked up 2,700 pounds of food. We went and got weighed over at the coal docks, and he thinks that was a record year. Plus, they had $213 in cash donations, plus a bunch of people gave them returnable cans. They got $20 in returnable cans. All that went to St. Vincent's for the Christmas basket. He said to ask to put a special thanks to the yacht club because they had sort of a pre-collection going on, and they collected a lot of food at the yacht club, a lot of canned goods that they threw on the fire truck last night. We received a check for $23,616, which is personal property tax reimbursement check. It's going to go to the DDA, and that is from, remember the name of the stabilization fund.
Reimbursement for lost personal property taxes for the last couple of years. And the DDA has not, because most of the union properties are under that threshold. So most of the personal property so this is now reimbursement from the state for the lost personal property.
Is that how much we lost?
No, not even close.
Not even close. Huh? Well, I'm just asking, is it a,
Collects a lot of personal property taxes. No, it's not.
do we collect any now?
It's not 100%.
They have to be collecting something. They're gonna get 100,000.
There's no one qualified that have over, what is it, 100,000 or 90,000? Oh, 40 cash SEV or 20? And there's nobody qualified that has that much. It's good to know.
Anyway, we, the good thing is,
I knew that check was coming, but I
Yeah.
didn't know exactly how much it was
so we didn't budget for it, so it's a nice addition. Our Christmas schedule for City Hall will be off, Friday, Monday, and Friday, Monday, so we'll be off Friday the 23rd and Monday the 26th, and Friday the 30th and Monday the 2nd. And garbage collection will be as scheduled because on the Monday weeks, it'll be off by a day. Yeah, be off by. That's all I have.
All right. Next is the RV Ordinance Subcommittee.
We met tonight, we made some changes to the ordinance in regards to corner lots. Whereas being able to put stuff on your, corner lot used to be considered front yard on both sides. even your side lot was front yard, so you can put anything there, you'd be in violation of the ordinance. Made a change to that, well, proposed change. Renee's gonna draw it up, she'll get it all together and probably have it on our next agenda for the next commission meeting. For the commission to go over. I think it's a fair trade. Should work.
Yeah, I agree.
So I had on that.
All right. Next is year-to-date financial report.
We have to look at numbers.
We're pretty much 67% through the budget, and every fund is either at that percentage or below, with the exception of some of the items in the general fund. The Parks and Recreation, a lot of that finished up this fall, so they are either at 100% or less if she came in below budget for her expenses. I did include the balance sheets this time, and I just wanted to point out Capital Projects Fund. It's showing a negative cash balance. There's 2 projects in that fund this year. One is, of course, our GIS. That's where our GIS is tracked. There will be transfers coming in at the end of the fiscal year from the other funds to cover those expenses. And the other one is the Bessie concession stand. And once that project is complete, we'll be getting that donation from the Bessie to cover that construction. Other than that, did anybody have any questions?
The money in the Parks Department that she budgeted for that she did not use, now does that remain in the Parks Department?
remains
Does that
in
go
the-
into her reserve fund, or does that come back to the general fund?
That stays in the general fund.
The only money that stays in her fund is the Mary Cretin's portion. That was for recreation, that's stipend for recreation, and the harbor fund money, because that's now
So if she budgeted for 50,000 and she only spent 30, that 20 stays in
that
the
stays in
general
the,
fund?
just in the general fund. The other thing, on the utilities, on the income side of utilities, our water sales, wastewater, and electric sales, we're 67% of the year, 67% through the year, but utilities are always a month behind, so we're only about 58% on income on utilities. So you see, hey, we're way behind on utilities. That's the auditor always adds 2 months at the end of the year. So.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you. All right, next is any board and commission reports? Public comment.
Thank you for sending me the letter and answering my
Oh,
question.
yep. Stop in anytime.
Ed Levine, 2722 South Hill Road, Gladstone. I don't know how to have to put this, but what are we going to do about the compost this next year? Are we going to wait till it's too late again like we did the last 2 years, or somebody should give us, I'd like an answer on that, by the way, from somebody. I assume it'd be Eric, what we're going to do about it. A lot of people are asking questions. They're kind of, I'll tell you what I asked. I don't know if I should tell you this now, but I'm going to. Anybody that came in and I asked them, I said, what would you rather have? The compost site or the bike trail? Not one person, not one single person said they didn't want the compost site. They said that is one thing Gladstone finally woke up and did the right thing. But they don't like them people coming there that don't pay, and they don't want them in there. Number 2, has any money been raised for that bike trail?
Yeah, quite a bit. In fact, I don't remember the dollar amounts. I think they're almost over halfway.
Halfway? Well, that's a good sign. Anyway, that's the only thing I had. I'd like an answer on the compost, though. There's so many people ask me about it.
Compost site, go with commission direction at budget time. We'll put the numbers together and we'll come up with
Yeah. See, the reason I say this, okay, we were told, Gladstone people, that they were going to get in the mail, they were going to get their decal. Well, that wasn't true. Then they were told, in fact, a lot of people still think that we're going to get that gate in before the spring of the year. Now, we shouldn't put things in for people to read if we're not going to do what we say. At least I don't think we should. People in Gladstone like to see things progress to where they feel comfortable that we're doing the right thing in Gladstone.
We'll have a budget this year, and we'll determine what we're gonna do, and what we're gonna spend our money on in that budget, and we'll follow that budget.
What about the 68,000 that's in there now? It's only going to take 30, and there's more than enough to cover for the year.
Okay. We'll be talking about that at budget time.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, city commissioner comment. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Not really a public comment, but I didn't know where else to say it. So I talked to Eric a little bit about this. I wanted to give, sorry, I'm going to read off my phone and my eyes are getting worse, not better. I wanted to give a little update about what's going on in the departments I manage, just so you have a feeling for some of the things we've been working on, some of the items that we may have concerns with, just some things that might be coming down the pike, so you're not blindsided by them, and just kind of some things. First of all, some money was allocated for equipment and stuff, so I wanted to let you know that last Friday we finally got our snowblower in. So we have a brand new snowblower. We're trying to adjust the pinning mechanism in the loader to actually attach it. It's a little tight, so it's a little bit, we're adjusting that. And then we also, on the same day, finally got our salter truck. I know Jay had asked about the salter truck. You may see a new truck driving around town. It's a yellow truck. It's really big. It's a monster, and it's actually an all-wheel drive. That truck, I think we purchased for $24,000 or $25,000, I believe, is what the amount was, and you had allocated $15,000 to repair it. The repairs did come in a little bit more than that. They discovered a broken axle and a couple other things in there. I just got the bill in. I haven't even went through the bill, but I just got the bill in. I know it's going to be more money than what we had allocated, though. So, but still, I think all in all, we've got a decent truck that seems to be working okay. The guys took it out in this last event we had. It's got a front plow, underbody scraper, and it's the salter mechanism. So I think it's going to be a really good truck for us. Let's see here. Bayview Equipment had that truck for quite a while. Okay, let's just see. One other item from the equipment side of things is our 2012 garbage truck. I just wanted to bring that up. That truck has become, I don't know if unreliable is the right word, but the orange truck we bought has been used an awful lot this year to make up for a really poor engine design that comes with that International. And this is nothing we did. This is just a problem they're having in the whole trucking industry. I mean, Eric might know a little bit about it, but that particular type of engine just is not very good. And we've had a lot of problems. It's actually in the shop again right now. And so trying to figure out what's going on with that. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but that truck has not been good for us. Another thing is, if you've been down to DPW, I don't know if you've been down there at all, but if you haven't, just go down. I've been really trying to get the guys and work with other people to try to clean it up a little bit over the years since I've been here, and it's starting to come around. I mean, it's starting to look a lot better, a lot more respectable. We've been putting a few doors on, garage doors that were not working, functioning correctly. We've had to make a lot of repairs to furnaces just to keep the heat in there, and a lot of little things inside the building. New LED lights we've put in there. So we're doing little repairs like that. We also put in we got a new salt building I had bought. It was basically a carport, and we built blocks around and put the carport on top of it. If you haven't been down there, go by and look at it. It looks pretty good, and it's nice not having to tarp the salt. So that's done. So we're good there. The compost site, we shut it down here just recently with these snows, so that did happen. The Christmas trees this year are going to be brought not up there but down to DPW again, so I'm having some signs made. So if anyone has a Christmas tree after the season's done, they'll be able to bring them down to DPW, and that works better for us because we can just take our chipper truck right there and chip them up and then get it out of there. So that works out really well, actually, and we don't have to worry about that site being open. So had a couple new employees. We talked about a little bit. Is John Van Brocklin and Kyle McIntyre. Kyle's been with the city prior to this in the Parks and Rec Department. Both of those guys are, as I don't know them very well, but boy, they're really pretty awesome. I'm really impressed with them. John has got a really good background in the equipment repair and really has a good head on his shoulder and makes really good decisions. I'm really impressed with having him as part of the team. He worked up in the school for the schools for several years. Kyle, boy, he's a nice guy. He really is he works really hard, and I really appreciate the smile he has on his face and all the good things he really does try hard. And he's went right into that garbage route with been learning a little bit, but boy, he's picked it up pretty fast. He's making a few mistakes here and there, but he's doing really well. So I do appreciate that. So I'm very happy to have them both as part of the team. And the rest of the guys, I wanted to put a shout out for them too, because I think that the electric guys and the DPW guys are terrific. They really do a lot of good things for this community. They've been doing a lot of good things for this community for a lot of years. And I just wanted to put a shout out for them that I appreciate what they do because they make my job so much easier. Without them, I just, whatever. They make it happen. They do. In the electric end of things, I'm having a substation analysis done right now to analyze because there was concerns about the substation and what happens if it blows up, blah, blah, blah. Like Escanaba, we're always comparing us to Escanaba. But, so I'm having an analysis done of the substation to kind of see where it is, just what shape it's in, where it needs to be repaired, and whatever things, and put a price on what that would be so we can proactively plan for what that should be. So that's being done. I don't know if you saw, but the guys were out line clearing. They went out and we rented a machine, and we were doing a lot of brush hogging, basically, on the lines. So that was something we did just before the snows flew. That's really Skip. He was the one who pushed that forward and made that happen. We're still putting up LED lights and continue to do that. And but it gets hard this time of year because it is cold. But we do that in between things. So we had I don't know if I mentioned or at one of the, I haven't been to the meeting here in a little while, but we had a tree planting on Arbor Day in November. Commissioner View and Manager Buckman were there, and we worked with the Jones School and planted some trees and taught kids about what trees were about. Those are two things that are near and dear to my heart, children and trees. And so if I can put those together, that's really something, I think that's good. So anyways, I just wanted to thank you for your support. Just wanted you to know what's going on.
All right. Thank you, Mark. All right, city commissioner comments, commissioner view.
Commissioner View. Well, I don't have too much to say, except I wish everybody out there a very Merry Christmas, prosperous New Year, all the commissioners, the staff, the workers, everybody in the community and the world. Something good. And a comment I wasn't going to make is I hope, I want to thank Mr. Palega for a beautiful update that briefs the commission on stuff that I've been looking forward to a long time. I think it's so important to have this type of communication. I hope you start a trend. I really do. I hope every department takes some type of initiative to let us know the projects and the things and the people, what they're doing for our community, so that when we're asked questions, we have no surprises. People ask me stuff now, at least on the stuff you relayed to us. I don't have to say, go see this, go see that. I have some of the good stuff we're doing in the community back to me to give out to the people. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Commissioner Thompson.
Just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Okay. Commissioner Mantua.
I'd like to thank the staff and the commissioners for bringing me up to speed, and I'm looking forward to continuing serving in the new year here coming up, and want to wish everyone a happy Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year also. Thank you.
Commissioner Phelan.
Same here. Merry Christmas. Have a good New Year. Hope everybody does well next year. Hopefully 2017 will be better than 2016.
All right, and I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a safe and Happy New Year. So now we're on to city clerk comments.
I have stuff. First off, in your packet, if you saw, there was information in there. I had emailed it out before, but it was the week of deer season, so might possibly have been overlooked. But it is from the attorney, Miller Canfield, who works for the city on different things. Regarding a court of appeals, the Michigan Court of Appeals ruled that email deliberations among a quorum of a public body members violates the Open Meetings Act. This was on November 1st of 2016. The opinion was issued by a 3-judge panel in the case versus Markle versus Mackley, case number 327617. You can click on that link and you can see exactly the information of how that case went down, what the particulars were in there. But they do a really nice job of summarizing it. Open Meetings Act before, the full intent was there on any kind of form of communication. Now we're in the electronic age, so this does include all forms of electronic communication, so it really does clarify it. So there's no gray area anymore. So as of November 1st, this ruling was made. It's out now there, and we will be held to that. If you heard between the last meeting and this one, the state of Michigan in their back and forth recount for the statewide thing, it was on, it was off, it was back on. We were scheduled to do it Saturday 10th, I think it was, or something like that, which they were doing it a bit different, having workers from each jurisdiction come in and the clerks manning the tables. So we were on track to do that, and then downstate had to count theirs, but then the judge did finally rule that Stein she didn't meet the qualification for an injustice on, her claim to it with Michigan. So she wasn't entitled to the recount, so then it was stopped. But one thing, I know there's in the media, Detroit having issues, and it seems like Detroit always has some issues, but the other thing that it did show, if the ones that were recounted showed little to no, discrepancy with theirs, and I'm confident, even though we didn't get to count ours up here, that you would see that as well, that the machines, things do work, the process works here in Michigan. And you heard a lot about the hacking and everything with that. In Michigan, that wasn't even a concern of ours in the election world or the Bureau of Elections, because we're not connected to internet and we're not connected to things like that. Our machines are not. But, you know, when you live and breathe the world, you know, of the elections, it doesn't always get across to the public because they're not aware of how that process and that equipment actually works. So on one hand, it was kind of good. I was relieved that it was canceled, so we didn't have to do that. With that being said, then we have now turned to, if you know locally, the Bay College Board of Trustees is up for the recount. One has been filed. That was within 12 votes of the win or loss. So that definitely, you know, could be. It's hard to say if, you know, 12 votes is kind of a lot to get, but if you could pick up one or, you know, whatever in each of the jurisdictions, you know, you might be there. So that is scheduled tomorrow. We will be doing that over in Escanaba City Hall, all of the counties. So we're scheduled from 9 to 11 with that. So I will be over there doing that. And hopefully once that's done, I can finally put this election to bed and focus on my vacation, which is starting December 22nd, and I won't be coming back until January 2nd. Also been working on, we've had a little bit of increase in FOIA and that process, so anybody concerned or interested in that, you can, it is on the website, all the information that you need if you want to do that, but I've been processing several, so I'm busy, and I thought it would hopefully slow down for the holidays, so I'm not going that way. But anyway, that is all I have.
All right, thank you. We are adjourned.
I have those copies if you want.